done till now, so that if people are watching this later, they will have a recording now. So let me just talk about what we have done till now. We have so I have just created this feedback page, feedback.jsp, and the design is submitted by one of our member or one of the contributor in the group. And this is the page which they have created, and the page looks something like this. Not this page. So page looks something like this, where you have a feedback form where you can enter all these details. When you click on the submit button, it will call add feedback. So I have created this page, and I have written all this code in feedback.js page. Now, how do we call a feedback.js page? In the index controller, whenever you request for feedback.htm, you will get feedback.jsp. And this is the awesome thing, as a normal user, you will see feedback.htm at the end, but actually what is going on in the backend is .jsp. This is what we have done, and then we have also added one more thing, which is add feedback here. So you can see we have added add feedback here, the method. This is the method which will actually take the request. If you click on submit by entering the feedback, this is the place where you will where it will accept all the values. So you can accept that with the help of request param. Okay, so using request param, you will get name, you will get email. So request param is used to fetch the data from the client machine, and then we are adding that in a database. So we can do that with the help of DAO layer. So all your database code can be written in this class. I mean, we are planning to use Hibernate, but then let's see how it goes. Nothing confirmed about Hibernate yet. So, but let's see. We'll start with JDBC, and then if you think, that's the advantage of using DAO layers. In future, even if you want to implement Hibernate, you don't have to change lots of code. You just have to change your DAO layers. Okay, now this is the point. So we got a point from Vishal. What if you get multiple requests? Because every request will have a different data, right? And in total, if you have only one object, then how can we use multiple different data? The object of FDAO is only one, but then the values for every object or feedback object, I mean, the values are different, right? So this value will be stored anywhere. So, okay, so let's go ahead and let's write database code. So we'll be writing a database code inside feedback DAO.java. So this is your feedback DAO here, which is this one. So feedback DAO in a DAO package. Okay. So how do you send all these values? How do you send all these values inside feedback DAO? So there's one way. You can pass all the values like this. You can say comma name, comma email, comma. You can pass all the variables, or the best way would be to create an object. I mean, first of all to create a class, and we'll name those classes as entity classes. So we'll create a class here, and the class name we'll say feedback. Oh, I have forgot to change the package. So I want this in a package name, which is package com.telusko.tusk.entity. So you have to make sure that you put all your classes in entity package. Okay, so let's move that here. So what I will do here is I will create, so in this feedback, I want those variables. So I will say private. Basically, we want to make a bin. So this is private string name. We'll say private string email. We'll say private string regarding. Is it regarding? And private string. I'm thinking from next time I will already make some codes, and we'll see the codes in the live session, because it is taking lots of time to type everything in the live session. And for this we need getter setters. We'll say right click, source, getters and setters. Select all. Okay, so we got getter setters, and I also need a constructor here in case if I want to pass all the values in a constructor. So I will right click and we'll say source. Okay, source constructor with all these fields. Click on OK, and you got the constructor as well. Okay, so we got a constructor here. So we got getter setters, we got a constructor. Now what next? So we'll go back here, and okay, now so we got the feedback class, I want to create object of feedback class here. Again, we can use, okay, so we can create object of feedback. So we'll say feedback, but we just have one issue here. Again, we should be using, okay, we have to import the package first. So say control space, we got feedback. Okay, so we should be using @component. So if I say @component, there is one issue. For different people, we need different feedback object, right? But then how can I use it here? Okay, so what I will do is I will change the scope of this. Okay, how do you change the scope of a component? Okay, so we have to use a scope, and we'll mention the scope as prototype. Now the advantage of using prototype is it will create a different object for different requests. We don't want only one object for feedback, right? So every person will have a different feedback. So I'll just make a prototype, and here also we'll be using @override. Simple, everyone? Okay, so now what we'll do here is, let's create an object of feedback, and I will say, oh, we got an object, right? And I want to assign these values. So I will say feedback. Oh, I should be using constructor here, right? Because, okay, let's not do AutoWire here. We'll create the object by ourselves because I want to achieve. Okay, let's not use that feedback there. So we'll create a new object because I want to pass all this object. I want to pass all these values by myself. So I will say name, comma, email, comma, registration, comma, and then we require code and rating. So we'll say code and rating. So we got the feedback object here, right? And that feedback object will send in add feedback. So whatever data I'm getting from the user will send that here, and the same feedback we have to accept in this. So I will say feedback FB, or that's not Facebook, but that's feedback. We'll control space. Okay. Now, just to verify if I'm getting the proper feedback, instead of, with this in feedback, I will also print FB. But then this will print the hash code, right? I don't want hash code. I want to print the data. So what I will also do is I will implement the toString method so that I will get the data, not the hash code. So right click here and we'll say toString, source toString, and we'll select all the values, click on OK. So we got a toString method now, and everything should work now. I'm printing that object here. Let's restart the server. Okay, so let me just enter values here. I will say Naveen, and I will use email ID as whatever it is available here. And then this is for the online course, no code available. Let me just also mention the code. I will say 104, and then let's type the message. We'll click on this and click on submit. Okay, so again, you will not get the page there, but you can see in the feedback, I'm getting all these details, right? This is what we wanted. So we got all this data in the feedback DAO. Now this is the time to save this data in the database. Again, we can use Hibernate here, but time being will not use Hibernate. Oh, we got one more suggestion. Instead of using all this thing, we can also use, let me just comment this part, we can also use model attribute. That's what you're saying, right? So we'll use public string add feedback. So there is one more way which is there in Spring MVC, which is called as model attribute. Okay, model attribute, then we have to use feedback. Does it work here? So you think it will work directly? Let's try. I guess model attribute works with Spring Form, or let's try. Let's say enter, and you got an error. Oh, for this we have to provide a default constructor. So we also need a default constructor here. Let's say feedback and let's use a default constructor. Come on, server restart. Is it happening there automatically? Yes, server restarted. Let's do that once again. And yeah, it does work. Yeah, it does work. So we can also use model attribute. So the advantage of using model attribute is you don't have to write all this data. You can write it in one line. So you can simply use model attribute. Whatever data it is coming from the request, it will be assigned to feedback directly. It is that awesome. Okay. Now we can also mention the name here so that we can use it later as well. So we can mention feedback so that we can use it later in the model scope, in the session scope. Let's try if it is working. Let's say enter. And it does work. Okay, perfect. So we got a feedback and now it's time to store this in a database. And to store this in a database, what I will do is I will use a database code. But then, okay, so what I want now, I want you people to complete this code and send me the code using JDBC. I mean, complete this code and save the data into database. That will be your assignment. Okay, and that is very easy, right? You can watch my video on YouTube how to save that in a database. What I want to do now is the code is very simple, right? You can write a Java database code here, and you can store that data in database. Now, why I am not completing the code? Because I want to do some important thing, which is more important than completing JDBC code. The important thing is, what if you complete this module? Because once the module is complete, which will be done by tomorrow, of course, where do we deploy this? Where to deploy this? So as we have planned that we'll be deploying this on Google App Engine, but then we have not seen how to install Google App. I mean, how to work with Google App Engine, right? So what I will do is let's talk about how to deploy this application on Google App Engine. So we know how to complete this code, and now you also know how to do this, right, everyone? Okay. So now let's see how to create a Google App Engine account. So we'll create a Google App Engine account with my email ID, which we are using for this the email ID which we are using, which is the Telusko Live project. So I will open my Chrome here. Okay, so I will open my Chrome, and in this Chrome I will say, let me use Firefox because I already have so many accounts on Chrome. I will go to Google website, which is Google App Engine. So just go to Google and search for Google App Engine if you want to use Google App here. And okay, so just go to Google App Engine. So we got a question from Shiv, how Spring Boot differs from Spring MVC. Making Spring Boot project is actually very easy. You don't have to do lots of configuration. Okay, so so I already have my account here. I will just change it to Telusko Live project. So whenever you want to go to, if you want to create a Google App Engine account, just go to Google, search for Google App Engine on browser, and it will take you to the Google Cloud platform. Okay, and it will ask you for the login. Whatever Gmail account you have, you can do that. Whichever Gmail account you have. Okay, so I'm using Telusko Live project as my Gmail account here. Now once you log in, you can create a project here. You can click on the start language and you can click on Java. It will give you a Java project. But then I want to link my Eclipse with this Google App Engine, right? Now how do we do that? So the way you can do that is, first of all, we have to, now Google App Engine is free for 12 months. You can see Google App Engine is free for 12 months, and by default it will give you $300 of credit. So if you are using any of this service, which is a paid service, you can use it for $300. Okay. Now, since it is free, I will click on the sign up for free trial. Okay, and it will ask you some basic questions. Let's ignore that. And depending upon which country you live in, so you can select whatever country you live in. I'm in India now, so I will select India. And then I will say I don't want any special offers, and I'm accepting all the terms and conditions, even if I don't agree with that. And this is awesome, there is no auto charge after free trial ends. Even if you are providing your credit card details, they will not charge you even if you're crossing the limits. So I will click on agree and continue. Okay, so it will ask you for some details. It will ask you for the account type. You have to mention individual or business. And then you have to mention the project name. You have to mention the address, the city, the postal code, because they might come to your home to give you a gift, right? And okay, so now they will ask you for the credit card details. You have to enter your credit card details here. Okay, and you can ask for anyone for the credit card details. And once it is done, you can click on the start my free trial. Okay, now once you do that, Google App Engine will give you the platform. But then once you got the platform, once you got the account, how do you link your Eclipse with this? Because that is important, right? How can you link with our STS with the Google App Engine? So for that, you have to go to Help and you have to go to Eclipse Marketplace, where you have to mention, okay, in the Eclipse Marketplace, you have to search for Google App Engine. It will take some time to search. Okay, so you can see we got Google App Engine. You have to install this plugin. So you have to install this particular plugin. So if I click on install button, it will take some time for the installation. Okay, and you don't have a choice. You have to accept the terms and conditions. Click on finish. You can imagine how slow my internet is. So let me just make it run in background so that we can continue with the thing. Oh, what is that? Oh, we have to restart our STS. Let's click on yes. We don't have a choice. We have to restart the STS. Okay, so when you restart, you can see we have an option here of creating a project. But then you can directly cannot, even if you create a project, you have to make sure that you also deploy this on the server, right? So this is the option you're using which you can deploy. So even before creating a project and deploying it on the server, what you have to do is you have to click on Manage Google Accounts, and you can see I already have an account here. So you can, if it is not there, you have to add an account. You have to click on Add Account. You have to provide your username details here. I will not do that. Okay, so I already have an account. I will use that particular account here. I will use Telusko Trading as the account. So you can see I already have an account. Okay, once you have an account, you have to create a project. You have to say a Maven-based Google App Engine product, a project. And okay, it says Google SDK is required but cannot be found. That means you have to also install Google Cloud SDK. Now how to do that? And that will see, if I will make a video on this, how to install Google Cloud SDK. Maybe today or tomorrow. I will upload this video and you can watch this video and you will know how to install Google Cloud. In fact, I already have Google Cloud in this machine. Okay, I guess I have not done with the setup here. Okay, I already have a Google SDK installed. Let me just check. Okay, it is here. Okay, we do have Google SDK. It is working. So Google SDK is accepted. So I will make a video on how to install how to install Google Cloud SDK. You have to make sure that you do have Google Cloud SDK in your machine. It will ask you for the group ID. I will say com Telusko, and the artifact ID is tusk1. Now it will create a new project, okay? And you have to make sure that you copy all the configuration from your old project to this project. What we need here, nothing. We just need a package. Okay, let's select this one, Google App Engine API, and click on Next, and finish. It will give you a basic project which you have to replace. Okay, and you have to convert this project into Spring MVC now. Now, how we can do that? We can add the Spring configuration, we can add Spring dependencies here, and you know how to do that, right? So we have done in this first session, you have to convert this project. And if you make any changes in this, you just have to click on this link and say deploy. The moment you say deploy, the project will be deployed on the Google App Engine. Now project has some errors, that's why it is not able to deploy it. But then after solving this, you can do that. So now we have seen how to create a Google App Engine project. And then we have also seen, the problem here is it is not able to connect to the Tomcat. Okay, now you can see the errors are gone. Now what you have to do is you have to copy all this thing from Tusk and you have to paste that in Tusk 1. And that's how you can configure this project with the project which we have done till now. And once you do this, just have to click on this and say deploy to App Engine, and this will be deployed. So you have to deploy. Okay, this is the earlier project. We'll go for a new project. Okay, first of all, you have to get a project there, right? And then you can do it. Again, how to do that? Once we complete the project, so tomorrow we'll copy all this thing in this Tusk 1. We'll make these changes and we'll deploy this on the app Google App Engine, and you'll be having the first project deployed. So that's it. We have done with the session 4, where we have still not completed the code. You have to complete this feedback page by tomorrow. It is taking more time than I have assumed. It is taking 1 hour session, not getting enough. I guess we have to go for 2 or 3 hour session from tomorrow. I don't know how many of you watch it if you go for 2 or 3 hour sessions. So you have to make sure that you send a JDBC code by tomorrow. Yes, I will share the design on the Facebook group. And if you want to be a part of this group, just share the message on Facebook using a tag #Telusko, and if you do that, we'll add you in the group. If you feel that your request is pending, you can do this. So if your request is still pending, just share the message on Facebook. Share this video on Facebook and type some message and use a hashtag called as #Telusko so that we can verify. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have liked this video, do click on the like button, and thank you so much for watching.